On today's topic, we're going to have something really important to talk about, and that is how to change your habits. Now, we all know we've gotten to where we're at right now based off habits, okay? Whether you're in a place where you're proud of, or whether you're in a place where you're maybe not completely proud of, you have got to that place based on things that you have been doing in your life. What's going on, guys? Welcome to our podcast, Walking Manifestator. I am your host, Pena, and in this podcast, I am on one mission and one mission only, and that is going to help you awaken your truest and highest self. Embrace and embody your true power and help you elevate to a completely new consciousness. A transformational journey with the Walking Manifestator you are born to be. Now, before I get started, I want to read to you a quick quote by The Inner Work. This is something that I feel like most people can resonate with, and it says, "Accept responsibility for your life. Know that it is you who will get you to where you want to go. No one else." This is by Les Brown. And in today's conversation, when it comes to habits, most of us are so set on how things have happened in our life that we automatically assume that we cannot change what exactly we are going through. I'll give you an example, right? Maybe you were raised without parents. Maybe you were raised with parents, but they weren't really there for you. Or maybe you were raised in a situation where you didn't have the most money. Or maybe your parents had a lot of money and they, spoiled you. Whatever extreme you're in, these situations that have happened in your life have conditioned you to be and believe the way that you currently are today. Now, maybe you have a limiting belief around money, a limiting belief around your image, a limiting belief around how people perceive you. These are all external circumstances that have actually happened in your life that have now molded you to believe the way that you believe, okay? The cores to your habits, okay? Now, in habits, I find that a lot of people think, as long as I read a new book, I'm gonna be on my way. And I've had a lot of people recently reach out to me and say, what books do you recommend? What books do you recommend? And I'm telling you, I'm super proud of you guys, the ones that are reaching out and wanting to just grow. Kudos to you. But this is why I wanted to make this video. It's not just about reading one book. It's not just about listening to one podcast. It's not just about being with a coach. It truly comes down to your habits. I can sit here and give you a recipe for how to grow. I can sit here and give you every single tool that has helped me get from point A to point Z. The most successful person in the world can sit there and tell you, look, if you do A, B, and C, you will have the result of D, which is going to allow you to exponentially grow your business, your life, your relationship, whatever. But the thing here is, if you don't change your habits, what's going to happen is that your brain is designed to keep you safe. So even if you do it for like 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, and you don't exercise that muscle, which that muscle being, again, the habits that you're forming gradually, it's not going to be a long-term effect. What's going to happen is that maybe if you're lucky for a week, you're gonna feel amazing, but then week 2, why try? Or week 2, that person that maybe invites you to go and have some drinks comes around and it's like, hey, no, why are you doing that? I had this one person, he was doing so amazing and not drinking. And not that there's anything wrong with drinking, okay? I'm using this as an example because personally, I stopped drinking and I've noticed the impact that it's had in my life. And although I didn't drink much, I noticed that whenever I would drink, a lot of emotions that were not from the highest frequency would come about. So I just wanted to prove to myself that I didn't need it. And once I stopped, I honestly didn't regret it. I felt amazing, started losing more weight, I started building more muscle, and I was like, okay, we like this. But anyways, this person was really looking to not drink. And when we hung out, he was like, no, like I definitely, you know, I just don't want to drink anymore. I'm trying to not do as much drinking. It was amazing. I was really proud of him. And then he started hanging out with some of his friends, and he was like, at the beginning, he was like, no, I got this. Like, they're not going to influence me. I got it, right? I'm good. I was like, okay, cool, awesome. You know, you got it. Well, I'm gonna say maybe about 2 weeks after, he starts posting again about drinking and going out to parties and things like that. This is where your habits come into play, okay? If you are conditioned to hang around certain people, if you're conditioned to be a type of way when it comes to certain people, when you act a certain way around certain events, when you just do certain things that are in your nature, this is where habits come from, right? A habit can be something as simple as you brush your teeth every morning, at least I would hope, right? You shower every day. It's a habit. You have conditioned your body to not even question it. You just do it. And that's the thing. A lot of us, we have people in our life that play a major role in our paradigm. And our paradigm is, as we've talked about in previous episodes, series of events that have almost exclusive control over your habitual behavior, aka your habits. So things that have happened in your life have conditioned you, and now you allow those to have control over your habits. So when you are around certain people, right? Let's say in this example, he was around certain friends. What's happening is that even if he was on his way to not drink forever, or maybe for, you know, a longer period of time, because he was doing the, oh God, I forget the name of it, but it's the, I think it's 90 Day Hard or something like that. It's a training program where essentially you know, are abstinent from a lot of things in your life just to like really condition yourself. So he could have continued to do that, right, for the rest of his life if he chose to. However, based off the habits that he had, he resorted to hanging out with the same people that he had previously hung out with. And therefore, as long as those people haven't changed, they're going to also have the same habits. And therefore, it's only natural that you gravitate toward what everybody in your environment is doing. So if I'm growing up with a bunch of people that are doing things that they justify as normal, and we in society consider that as wrong, I'm going to normalize that. I'm going to say, we're doing it because that's just what we have to do, right? When I was growing up, I have shared with you guys in the past, I grew up in some really humble situations, but I'm really blessed because I had my grandparents to be there for me. And even though we lived in a storage room for quite some time, they did the best they could for me. But there was times in my life that I found myself justifying my bad behavior. And the reason for that was because I was hanging out with other people that were also doing the same thing. Now that I know what I know, I cannot blame others for my actions. But when you are really in a state of like just autopilot, and you're in a state where you're not really realizing the awareness and the true power that you hold, what ends up happening for most of us is that we start being conditioned by these external circumstances, right? And this is where your core beliefs start really anchoring in. Now, your beliefs are going to have to do a lot with your habits, because a belief is essentially things that you have normalized, things that you believe. You're not going to question. This is just the normal for you. So for me, a belief that I've adopted, which wasn't there previously, is every single day I just immerse myself in knowledge. No matter what's happened in that day, I always make time to listen to a podcast, but better yet, implement what I read in the podcast. So what I listened to on the podcast, sorry. Or if I read a book, I go out and I talk about it on a video because I really want to show what I've learned to other people and pay it forward. This is a small example of a habit that I've created, but it has made the world of a difference. And today I want to share with you 3 examples of how you can really let go of those previous habits and start conditioning yourself to new habits. Now, number 1 is going to be You need to start turning your shoulds to must. Tony Robbins says something really funny, which is most people should all over themselves, right? They say, I should do this. I should go to the gym. I should eat healthier. I should be in a better relationship. I should work harder in my business. I should be a whatever, fill in the blank. But here's the thing. You need to change your standards, and you need to change those shoulds to must. I must go to the gym because it's what allows me to feel healthier and allows me to build more muscle. And I know that in turn, I'm going to live longer. I must watch what I eat by choosing better foods that you are consuming instead of saying, I should eat this healthy salad. I must eat this healthy salad because I know it is going to make me feel better versus me eating that ramen that I know at the end I'm gonna be guilty about. These are simple, but yet they're what I like to call compound effect. And as we can see in our life, everything is the magic rule of the compound effect, right? Whatever you're doing, whether it's positive or negative, it is going to have a direct correlation with how you're living your life. So the moment you start adopting your beliefs that are going to be geared around instead of I should do this, I should do this, now you're really centered around I must do this because this is my standard. And I am telling you from personal experience, when you start adopting must instead of I should do this and should all over yourself, like Tony says, honestly, it is so revolutionary because your standards start showing and people can see this. And I'm telling you, there's a saying my grandma would always say, which is like, you know, two of them that really resonate with me, but it's like, you're the, you know, tell me who you hang out with and I'll tell you who you are. She would always say that to me in Spanish. And number two is what you do behind closed doors is what shows who you really are. And that is so true because most people on social media, they're a certain person and behind closed doors, they're another person. And I'm telling you that you can lie to the whole world, but you cannot lie to yourself. And actions are going to show. Like you can sit here and say, I work out every day, but then what you are carrying yourself with shows to the rest of the world. Or you can sit here and say, oh yeah, I always read a book, but then when it comes to your actual skills, they haven't improved. These are small, but yet as time goes by, I am telling you, once again, it is going to show. So implementing your I should to I must is going to allow you to truly start elevating. And this goes hand in hand with the law of attraction. And we've talked about this in the past. The primary law is the law of vibration, what you are in harmony with. So if you are somebody that is constantly having lower standards for yourself, you are going to continue to attract people that are in that same exact frequency. Why? Because you haven't grown your standards, and therefore you're going to continue to allow people with the same exact standards to be in your life. And then you're going to wonder, why did this happen again? Well, the question is not why is it happening again, is why didn't you learn from that previous situation and grow from it so that you wouldn't put yourself in that situation again. So that is one of the key components for really changing your overall habits. Now, number two, and this honestly is going to go hand in hand with what we just talked about, your standards, but it's going to be to actually change your perspective when it comes to doing something because you have to versus doing something because you want to. For me, it's my why. And your why is going to be very different than my why, just like my why is going to be very different from your why. But it comes down to the why needs to be bigger than you. And this is what I mean. At least when I heard this message, it really resonated with me, and I hope it resonates with you. When I think about my goals, I used to think about goals in the monetary side of things, right? I said at one point in my life, I want to make over $100,000. Like that was my goal. And for me, that was something that just seems so far-fetched. If you've listened to my first episode, I talked about my story, but for you that maybe haven't heard that story, I was at one point in time literally generating about 12 to 16,000 the most for the whole year, okay? How was I surviving? I'm telling you, it just goes to show that, you know, sometimes we don't really even realize how much God just provides us the tools, because I was surviving, okay? I was surviving. And with generating that income, I remember I would always tell myself, I am making $100,000. Like, I am making $100,000. I'm making $100,000. And whenever I would apply for anything, I would always say that I was making $100,000, right? In my mind, that was like the vibration of the energy that I was hoping to attract. At that time, I still did not understand the laws of the universe the way that I understand them now, and continue to learn them even better as time goes by, because again, you're your best investment, so you need to continue to invest in yourself. But as that continued to unfold, I remember I would always be very clear on what I wanted to happen. Now, when that happened, and after I surpassed the 100,000 mark, I remember that it wasn't that big of a deal, not because I didn't appreciate it, but it wasn't that big of a deal because in my internal self, I already felt like I was worth 100,000 and more. And I share this with you because this is going to have a direct impact on your habits. If you don't believe you're worthy of something, which again, we've talked about limiting beliefs and self-sabotage, the internal thoughts that you're having in your head. If you haven't watched that episode, I highly encourage you to go and check it out. I'll have us link the description below the actual video. But essentially, one of the things that we talked about so much is you are not your thoughts, okay? You are the awareness above your thoughts. You are consciousness, okay? Now, if you can understand this concept, follow me here as I'm going to explain to you why the why has to be bigger than a monetary side of things. Have you ever heard how there's like millionaires out there? There's people that from our perspective, from external perspective, looking at somebody else's external hardcover of their book, right? We're very quick to assume, oh gosh, their life looks so easy. Their life looks all put together. Their life looks like they have nothing to worry about. They have the car, they have the house, they have the kids that go to private schools, they have the husband or the wife, whatever you want to allow your psyche to say. And most people assume that because they have those external gratifications, they're actually happy internally. But yet, there's so many people that are what we would call financially free from the eyes of, again, the person looking from the outside looking in, but they're unhappy. They're not actually fulfilled. And the reason that happens is because these individuals are not actually happy internally with themselves. This is why most people don't understand the concept of it doesn't matter what external things you buy, you're never going to really be happy until you learn how to be happy within. It doesn't matter what person comes into your life if you don't learn how to actually be happy with yourself. You need to be at such a point in your life where you actually learn how to love yourself before you can ask of anybody else to love you. And if you're picking up what I'm putting down at this point, I am really emphasizing on this because you need to really understand that your whys, when you start working on yourself, they change. They change because your frequency changes. And now, instead of going from a self-centered, how can the world help me, you go for a, how can I service people? And I am telling you, this right here is the one thing that has, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, has allowed me to grow my business to where it's at right now and continues to grow. Because when I go and actually meet with a client, as I've said in previous videos and previous podcasts, yes, of course, I have a family to feed, but I'm not going to go with that intention of what is in it for me. I'm going with the intention of how can I service this person? How can I give them my very best? And in turn, by giving them my very best, I know the law of compensation, which is what you're putting out, is gonna come back, is gonna automatically take care of me because I'm doing it from a place of good. I'm doing it from my heart to pay it forward to this person and give them the best possible experience that I can, the best possible service, whether that's in a coaching call, whether that's with the client, whatever the case might be. Me coming from that side of service is what allows the energies to continue to flow in the most abundant possible way. And I'm telling you, I had a hard time understanding that for the longest time, because coming from a lack mentality, coming from a scarcity mentality, a lot of the times you think survival of the fittest, right? Nope, it's first me, and then me, and then the rest of the world. And that put me at such a low vibration because of my mindset, because of the energy I was putting out. It was attracting more scarcity and lack in my life. So when I share this with you, my why now has completely changed. My why has gone from wanting to make more money to wanting to service more people. The more that I service, the more value that I provide to people, the more that I allow them to go on this path of freedom, whether that's in their mindset, whether that's in their career, whether that's in their internal inner healing, or simply with my real estate career. When I'm doing it from a place of servicing them in the best possible way, that energy is constantly radiating right back to me. And I notice that when I'm allowing my human to really sneak in, and I allow myself to put myself in a state of wanting to compare my success to the success of others, or the life of others, or the journey of others, my energy really depletes. And when I just change that and I observe it and I go to my awareness and my consciousness, I see my energy dramatically change from the egoistic perspective to the service perspective to now the abundance that continues to flow. So when you have a why, yes, I get it. You know, you want to make more money. Yes, you want to have the traveling. Yes, you want to have the nice house. But find ways of doing it with the goodness in your heart to really pay it forward to people, because I am telling you, the universe, God, source, all of the above is going to repay that back to you. And when you want to change your core beliefs and your habits, going from the first step that we talked about, which is really going from your standards, right? Changing the shoulds to the must. And now you go into the second belief, which is your actual why. It doesn't matter how hard things might get at one point, because I am telling you, when you are on a quest to develop yourself, things can get interesting, okay? It's not just peaches and cream, but you know how to react. And if you listen to one of our podcasts, we talked about how responsibility is simply your responsibility, how you actually respond to situations. We cannot control the world around us, but we can control how we react to it. We can control what we allow in our energy. We can control what we tell ourselves. And by doing this simple technique, I am telling you, this is going to put you on your way light years ahead of other people that are still on the matrix. They're still on autopilot. They're still in those limiting beliefs, believing that they cannot change because of situations that they've encountered. Now that your why is set very clear, we need to disrupt your pattern. And what I mean by that is you need to gain enough leverage. You see, some people, we either gain enough leverage by seeing what we don't want to happen in life, or we gain enough leverage by what we want to happen to life. So for instance, my leverage now is really to inspire more individuals. My goal is that I want to be able to provide value to kids that are in need and actually show them these techniques, because I've seen what it's done with my own son. I want to encourage single moms, moms that have been through abuse, just overall people that are in a situation where they might actually find these tools essential to teach people how to fish, to teach people how to live a life of coherence. And when I think about that big picture, I get inspired. It excites me because I know without a shadow of a doubt, I am not going to give up on that mission, because I'm going to continue to invest in myself. I'm going to continue to develop myself in order for me to show up as the very best version of me. So when I think about that, I am very clear on the leverage. So no matter how hard things might get at one point in time when it comes to my why, I automatically resort back to knowing that no matter what, I am going to continue to try or die trying. And some people, they might see the opposite. Maybe you focus on what you don't want to happen, right? Enough leverage to the point where you're like, I never want to go a single day experiencing that ever again. So at the beginning for me, I came from, I want to have just at least $500 in my bank account, man. Like I want to have the ability to go to Sprouts, because at that time I was really trying to just like buy my son more organic food, and just like I knew all the things that they were putting into the food, and I was like, I want to give him a better lifestyle than I had. So I remember going to Sprouts and going to these stores and like wanting to buy him these things, but then looking at the price tag like, oh yeah, let's be very mindful about what we're gonna get, right? So when that would happen, my goal at that time was really centered around, I just want to get out of this reality that I'm in. And my leverage was not wanting to be in that energy ever again, right? So when I started growing, I was like, I just never want to be in that scarcity ever again. I want to continue to grow, evolve, and I never want my kids to encounter what I encountered at one point in my life when I was still, you know, raised with my mom, and we went days sometimes in very hard situations. And this is something that leverage is going to happen by disrupting your pattern. So when you can create this is the best change that you're going to see, because you've gotten very clear on your standards, you've gotten very clear on your actual why, and now by creating the leverage, you can really tell yourself there's no other option. It's either this or nothing. And some people think that it's ideal to essentially try and like take bite-sized pieces to change, right? Like, okay, don't go all in to go to the gym and, you know, maybe try it 2 times a week and then, you know, gradually increase it. Or maybe don't go all in eating tuna and, you know, greens. Maybe try eating tuna once a week and gradually increasing that. I'm the type of person that I'm all in or nothing. That's me personally, okay? This doesn't mean that's how it has to be for you. But I find that when I commit fully, that's when I see the biggest results. Because if I'm like just dabbling my toes and seeing like, is it worth it or is it not? I find myself slacking off and not really getting to the goal that I wanted. So for instance, the podcast, I said all in or nothing. And I knew that because I'm sometimes a perfectionist, I want everything to be exactly the way that I want it to be. And I don't know if any of you can resonate with this, but sometimes we're so consumed by how we're gonna come across and we want everything to be perfect, right? And I remember there was moments in that journey that I was like, oh, but I need to watch the video again and I need to make sure that it's perfect. And what if my hair was wrong? And what if I said something wrong? And I would just go in the spiral, and I was like, you know what? Imperfect action. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna move forward, we're gonna get this done, and it doesn't matter if, you know, there was a flyaway hair going on there, or there was something that I said that could have been said in a better way. I'm just gonna take action, and as I continue to grow, I'm gonna continue to share my message in a more concise and beautiful way. And that's what allowed me to really just step into a higher energy, because I believed in myself, I believed in something, and I just went full force. And that's exactly what happened in my real estate career. When I was trying to really grow from going from the example that I gave you guys earlier, I said all in or nothing. And this is what I would recommend to you. If you're looking to do something, go all in. If that's a new relationship for you, if that's a new business opening for you, if that's a new position that you're trying to go for at your job, if that's whatever it is, go all in. Most people are so afraid of what other people are going to say, but I am telling you, they don't matter as much as you're making them to matter. The same people that you're so afraid to let down because of how you're going to come across are the same people that as you're growing, they can sometimes, you know, what I would consider be hateful sometimes. And as we've talked about, that's just energies. Sometimes they're afraid of the own things that they're not able to obtain. So that's why they want to make other people feel bad. I know all about it because I used to be the exact same person. But essentially what happens is that you're so consumed by what they think, which in reality, they actually admire the fact that these people that are actually going full force and taking that leap of faith, subconsciously they admire something of you, which is the reason why they're kind of hating on you, because they don't feel capable enough to do what you're doing. And that's the reason why a lot of the times they want to bring you down and tell you, oh, you're gonna stop drinking, like just keep drinking with me. You're gonna stop partying, oh, just keep partying with me. Oh, you're focusing on your business, oh my gosh, you're still with that? You haven't let that go? The examples go on and on and on. But at the end of the day, you need to be the one to decide what's in your best interest. Is it to continue down the road that you're in right now that has led you to where you're at? Is there room for improvement? And is that something that you're willing to do? And if you're willing to do, commit to it. I'm telling you, committing to something that sometimes might feel a little daunting will yield you the best results of your life. So with that being said, I want to thank you so much for watching, or if you tuned in on podcast for Apple or Spotify, thank you so much for joining. We appreciate all of your support. If you have any comments, questions, please leave us a message on the email that we leave on our handles. And until the next one, I'm sending you guys many blessings. Thank you so much for watching yet another episode of Walking Manifestator. And with that being said, I want to remind you, visualize, embody, and transcend. Be the walking manifestator you are born to be.